Hey there guys, welcome back to another awesome video, and today's movie review is going to be of Elf. I feel like you guys know what Elf is by now, but just in case for anyone that doesn't know what Elf is, Elf follows this boy, man-child who was raised by elves, finds his human father, gives him the Christmas spirit, and basically learns human stuff, human culture. So this movie is directed by Jon Favreau, and I think this was one of his first directorial debuts, and I kind of forget that Jon Favreau sometimes directed this movie, because any moment I think of Jon Favreau as a director, I immediately think and go straight to things like The Mandalorian or the MCU, specifically Iron Man. So I forget that he did this. Now, before we get into my thoughts about this movie, I want to point out two interesting things that have come to my attention recently with this film, or surrounding this film, is that apparently Jon Favreau and Will Ferrell kind of had creative differences on the set of this. Will Ferrell kind of had, for this movie, the idea to be a lot more cynical, a lot more mean-spirited, a lot more harsh, and there are some scenes that kind of show that, but we'll get into that later on. But basically a little more PG-13. And Jon Favreau was kind of leaning towards more of a PG, more kind of kid-friendly thing. Kind of more of that, like, just that classic Christmas feel and a lot of other things he kind of ironically kind of either makes fun of or pays homage to. Stuff like the Rankin Bass stop-motion films, those little shorts, kind of moments like that, and just that warm-hearted feel for like just audiences and for younger ages and stuff like that. So I guess there's kind of like a meet in the middle here. I don't know how much of disagreements they had during shooting this, but I guess they met in the middle, I would like to think, because it feels like there is both things going off at the same time. And the other thing that has come to my attention recently is that I've realized, specifically this video has made me realize that apparently a lot of people really hate this movie. And honestly, I don't blame ya, because when I first saw this movie, I remember, and this is how I remember when I first saw Elf. The first time I saw Elf was back when I was in middle school, and I remember we were in an auditorium watching, it was before winter break, like one of the last few days of school, we were watching Elf. And I was like, oh, okay, I think I've heard of this movie before. I've never seen it up until then. And then I watched it, and then I remember feeling I liked it, but at the same time, it was so stupid and not really for me. The irony in this story is that while people liked this film, and then now as it's gotten replayed on television and overwatched and seen over like the course of Christmases, people come to hate it more. For me, it's kind of the opposite. Like, I kind of was like very in the middle when I first saw Elf, and then as I've gotten older and the more I've seen it, I've come to actually love it. I've come to genuinely love it. Because you have Will Ferrell, and Will Ferrell is one of my favorite comedic actors out there. He's one of my favorite comedians. And he just has so much like energy into his performance. Definitely a lot of scenes that are very ad-libbed, improv, off the books, with his so much energy that he gives off. And you just can't help but love it, honestly. I just can't help but love like every reaction he gives, even if it's ad-libbed, even if it's very just too loud in terms of loud comedy. But I feel that kind of works for me. And yet I feel at the same time that Will Ferrell genuinely does give some real like genuine like quiet moments, not quiet moments per se, but stuff like when he's not super loud and he delivers a line that's very like genuine or very funny. They come off as if a child were to say it.
And where did the reindeer get their magic from?
Christmas spirit. Everybody knows that.
Well, as silly as it sounds, a lot of people down south don't believe in Santa Claus.
What?
His performance is just so iconic, and I think that's what also makes this movie kind of work for me, is just how well known this film is, with its quotes and its memes and all the jokes and everything. As much as there's a lot of loud comedy in this film, there's definitely a lot of like subtle, like humorous moments and some really good humorous writing here. Specifically with James Caan as Buddy's father, I feel he balances out Ferrell's performance perfectly. Whereas Ferrell's being so loud and so positive and so like energetic, Caan delivers like some really good subtle words and subtle lines that feel so natural. It's just perfect. We have Zooey Deschanel in this movie, and I feel she's kind of underrated a little in this movie, or just underrated in general, because then again, I haven't seen her in like anything recent or in recent years, but she's not too bad in this. I think it's kind of like, it's interesting that she's got that like dry humor, kind of like Aubrey Plaza type of dry wit humor to her a bit, and that she comes across as that type of character. And then like her and Buddy kind of have like this little romance, like it kind of just shows up, but it's kind of like, it's kind of very awkward, but I think it's funny because of how awkward it is that this guy is just acting like such a child, and she's just kind of like so like not all about it, just down to earth, that it kind of works, even though it's very just out of the blue. I think it kind of works fine. Back to the humor and the comedy I brought up earlier with this being cynical. There's a lot of moments that are very cynical that I think we all forget that it's hilarious, but they're very cynical. Like when Buddy gets attacked by the raccoon, or whenever he gets hit by a car crossing the street, or even we all know is that Santa scene when he rips off the fake Santa's beard and he's beating him up, and the whole "you sit on full of lies, you smell like beef and cheese, you don't want Santa at all." Or how can I forget this scene right here with Peter Dinklage being mistaken for an elf?
Call me elf one more time.
He's an angry elf.
Look at you!
I wasn't ready for that.
Call me elf one more time. Call me elf.
You're an elf.
Moments like that, they're just hysterical, and I think they work perfect. So I feel there is a balance here of that harsh, like mean-spiritedness, but it's got that genuine warm feeling of Christmas, and I think that's what makes this perfect. Well, I've just come to love this a lot more as I've gotten older. I don't know why, honestly. I just think it just has gotten better and better for me personally. There were some things that kind of still are a little silly, but I feel that was something that I had an issue with probably years ago, and now I just kind of think it's like just kind of a little bit chuckle. It's just not that big of a deal for me. So I am going to give Elf, I'm going to give it a solid A. So Elf, have you guys seen it? What did you think of it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please smash that button. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I do awesome videos every day, if not every week. Make sure you ring that bell. I do new videos every day, if not every week. Share the video with family and friends, all that good stuff and more. Leave some suggestions in the comments as well. You name it, I'll look into it as best as possible. And to keep in the Christmas spirit, if you guys have any Christmas related ideas, any specials, any reviews, anything like that, leave those in the comment section. I kind of got one more idea, maybe two more ideas if I can get them in for the remaining of this month, because the rest of December is going to be very interesting for me in terms of my schedule, because I got two things happening next week that I'll be announcing and probably making a more big like reveal later on. Some of you might know, some of you might not know, but it'll be more revealed later on after those events happen, and then Christmas and everything else. So I'm gonna see what we can get in this year, and definitely my best movies of 2022 and the worst movies of 2022 will be happening before the new year. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.